Hey guys, it's Tyler here. I wanted to make a sort of response video to Abraham's I forget the title of the video, but it's basically wow, there's a lot of good tabletop RPG stuff coming out all of a sudden. And on YouTube specifically, and it really feels like a kind of chain reaction effect of like one person starts making good content and then another person starts is like, "Ooh, I like that. I should do the same thing." And then they start making good content and then more people start making good content. And I wanted to talk specifically about the engagement. It's such a tight-knit community even though I've only been interacting in comments with, some of these YouTubers for the most part for a while. I started making, a video or two ages ago, but I didn't have it wasn't even the time. It was just I had the time, but everything was always silent. I have to pick very carefully my all of my tabletop sessions are basically on the only days of the week that it was quiet. Every other day is just roommates, upstairs neighbors, whatever, constantly making noise. It's impossible to record everything. The lighting in my apartment room sucked. So yeah, it was there was that personal issue, but also I didn't realize until I started watching Shauner's channel where it was like people always mention where it's like, oh, most people don't role play, most people are terrible role players, and I was like, maybe we've all just had the same outlier bad experiences. I spent it took me years to find any role playing group, not just a good one, and by that I mean it took me 4 or 5 years to find a group that understood what role play was. And I didn't really realize that I didn't have the framework for that's why I like this current group I've been playing with for the last 4 years more than all of the other group until I started looking at it. It's like, oh yeah, it's not just that they're better role players, it's that the others weren't even role players at all. And then you look at like Shauner's channel where he goes into the dregs of actual plays, and I was like, oh, I haven't just not liked the couple of actual plays I've seen. It's like 99% of them are just terrible. They're sessions you wouldn't want to be at, let alone watch someone else play. And I use the word play very loosely because in half of them they're not even just playing a bad board game. They're like doing nothing. And so I was subscribed to a few not actual play channels, but like review channels and stuff, just to sort of keep on top of the hobby. And one of the reasons I've stuck with Pathfinder First Edition for so long is, well, I have tried other systems. Pathfinder First Edition wasn't even the first system I tried. It was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition, and then I tried 3.5, and then found Pathfinder was like, ooh, this is just a better version of the system I already like. And I've kept looking at more and more new systems and was like, none of these really seem interesting to me. Fourth edition, that pretty much got universally panned on its release. So we just kept playing Pathfinder through high school. Fifth edition, no one in my group really liked it because fifth edition brought in this huge wave of like big YouTubers that were making a lot of content on game mechanics, but they never incorporated what does the game mechanic mean in the universe that you're role playing in, right? And that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of the HEMA videos, with a lot of the like, what does AC mean? What can we do as a fighter instead of just I run up and hit the guy, I run up and hit the guy, I run up and that sort of thing where people will talk about builds, and like I've said, I like builds, but that has to be like one component of your character, right? Your If your character's just a build, that's sort of like introducing yourself every time as, "Hi, I'm Tyler. I have a technical writing degree." That's not the most interesting thing about me. I don't think so, at least. That's not what I would lead with. It's never, it's context based, of course. Maybe if it's a professional setting, I would. But professional settings generally aren't that interesting. If I'm, meeting a new person at a bar or a party or something, not that I go to a lot of those, but, if a friend of a friend is being introduced to me, I'm going to start with, the hobbies I enjoy, the things that I'm not going to tell them what my profession is. So, yeah, it's a part of the character, an important part even, but it's not the whole thing, and nobody's talking about, what does. I think I've heard Shauner say a few times of how do you role play a level 1 fighter? Well, if that's all there is, you can't role play that, right? But if you start digging into what do these mechanics mean? Well, we've started and level 1, my fighter has X amount of skill ranks in survival. How did he gain those skill ranks? What does he have a rank in survival? What does that mean? And a lot of these common YouTube channels will just say, ooh, you should put max out your perception because that's a really good stat that'll get rolled a lot. But what does it mean to have really good perception? How do you get ranks in perception? It's not just something you're passively good at. They never explain what's the role-playing implication, like that this person has a meticulous eye for detail. Because a rank is that's a trained, learned skill. It's not just you have really good eyesight. I mean, maybe the rank is from you eat a lot of carrots. I don't know, but even that is a modicum of roleplay. And two, they'll make videos about like how to make compelling backstories, but they won't explain to you how through roleplay in the first few sessions, you the player learn about your character's backstory. As you go to pick a lock. I keep using that example. I don't know why. It's just off the top of the head. But you go to pick a lock and maybe the wizard's like, where did you learn to do that? And you go, oh, now you're put on the spot. Now you have to think of, why did I, the player, put this rank in the skill? Because you can't turn to the wizard and go, oh yeah, I put some points into disable device because I figured that we would run into some traps or some locked doors. And it's like, no, what situation? Maybe it's a sort of I had to break out of jail once, but I'm not going to tell this to this guy that I've only known for like a month. It's like, the long story. If we make it out of here, maybe I'll let you know. Something like that. Anything to add flavor to the mechanics. And yeah, I think this community is great for that because there is so much engagement with not only the system, but with these channels. I'll have 30 views on a video and like 10 comments. A good third of a lot of my videos views are from people that are actually engaging with the content. They're watching it, if not all the way through, a lot of the way through. They're making thoughtful comments. They're making long comments. I make long comments all the time because I am a technical writer, so it's pretty easy for me to bang out, a 500-word essay in somebody's YouTube comments. Sorry for those of you who have to deal with that. But yeah, it's this. Simultaneously, you want to reach a lot of people with these ideas, right? And have this sort of crusade. It's been called the RPG Brigade 2.0, the role-playing Knights of the Round Table. I think it's kind of an RPG crusade against the non-role players that claim to be role-playing. Because there's almost nobody that doesn't role-play and just says, oh, yeah, we're just playing like a beer and pretzels tabletop RPG, tabletop game. There would be no problem if they said that, but they don't. They get, as I said earlier, and maybe didn't make clear enough, they get very defensive when it's like, yeah, that's not roleplay. You sitting there and looking at each other's character sheets, it's like, after like the third session, it feels like, is this all still session 0? This is stuff you should be covering already. You should be doing this in your intermission or while everybody's at home. You shouldn't be doing this at the session, right? Or maybe, have like, hey, come over to my house an hour early if you need help with understanding these rules or what have you. But on the flip side, keeping the community more tightly knit, it allows these really satisfying interactions with people, and it really drives me to make videos responding to people's stuff. And yeah, it's just, I already wish there were more hours in the day, but now it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many people that it feels like, I guess it feels like a lot of people. You know, there's like a dozen or so people that just popped up on the internet kind of out of nowhere that are like, whoa, I feel like, you know, I would invite any of these people over to my house for a drink, you know, and I only know them from the internet. That's probably a good way to get, like, mysteriously killed or something. But yeah, it's this sort of, would you rather have 50 people that you know really well and trust with your life, or 1,000 people that you vaguely know, you call them friends, but they don't ever comment on any of your stuff. They just give you, you know, thumbs up, and then they're gone. They add nothing. There's nothing to bounce back off of. And there's that disagreement too, right? It's, you know, we don't all like the same systems. We don't all run our games the same way. But that's fine. In fact, that's good. That engages the conversation. God, how boring is it? How boring has it been for the past 10 frickin' years seeing 8 million 5e players that run 5e, rules as written, you know, no changes to deal with the health bloat. Even 5e players, you know, that have only played 5e, that mainly play 5e, they complain about the health bloat, and it's like, do something about it. Tabletop RPGs are Legos, you know? You don't like the way the Lego house looks following the instructions? Move it around. They attach in multiple different ways. So yeah, that's my, I guess just sort of love letter to this community, the, again, whatever you want to call it, the RPG Brigade 2.0, role-playing Knights of the Round Table, RPG Crusade. Maybe I should make I should do this. I don't interact with the, I'm new to interacting with YouTube, so I haven't, at least as a content creator. So I haven't, I've tried to use the community tab more now, and, what am I thinking? The channels link, channels I link. I'll link some of the, which there's so much overlap. I would honestly be surprised if anyone finds, you know, any of these other guys through me. But yeah. I usually say, you know, let me know your thoughts on that, but, you know, I'm sure you will, is kind of the point. I don't really need it doesn't even feel like I need this call to action at the end, you know. As I just know somebody will comment something. Somebody will make a video. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's great. I'm really looking forward to making a bunch more dumb videos when I get the time. So yeah, thanks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. All that. See ya.